streets are flooded with Hebrews. All the brothers are out of the gate.
Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, honor, high praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah, Double honors to the elders, apostles of the great millstone. Sing honors to the apostles, our like-minded camps, brothers, preaching and teaching us the word of truth and with sincerity as always. Week in and week out, we come to prophesy a downfall that's going to come here to America, known as Babylon the Great, and to tell our people on this side here who you are. Are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, or the true Hebrew Israelites, which the Bible speaks about? Not those other people over there. And to tell you who your enemy is, to prophesy the downfall of Esau Edom. Esau Edom, the Edomites, they're your top enemy of Israel in the scriptures, of the Israelites. Esau is the Lord's top enemy, Israel's top enemy, the so-called white man. The so-called white man, because he's not white, he is red. And that's a matter of fact, that's what the name Edom goes back to, red. But he likes to call you Negroes black, which that's a color that's the color from the crayon box. But his nation was really called Edom, a color from the crayon box. So it's like the Lord reversed the sides. Now we're called a color, and he's still called a color, but it's a better color called white. But he's the devil, the Bible speaks of him. And you can read about that in Genesis 25, you might get that. But whatever you got, bro.
Yep, all right, so I'm going to start here in the book of Revelation. Just because the news this week was a lot of brothers did videos on it already. I did one yesterday on this announcement that went forth from King Charles over there in the UK. King Charles over there in the UK has now announced officially that they are going to be proceeding and going forth with that mandatory digital identification system for all citizens of the United Kingdom in order to participate in the public services. All right, they're going to be rolling that out. I believe he said that it was going to be at the end of their parliament. I got to look up when is the end of the United Kingdom's parliament. All right, I'm not sure when that is, but they are going to be rolling that out. I remember, a few months ago, the Prime Minister of the UK, which is under the King officially, okay, for those purposes, he announced that they were going to be rolling this back out in January. All right, now the people did they complained, there was an uprising, and they ended up not going forward with it. But now the king, okay, the king, pseudo king, because he's not really the king, all right, has said they are going to be going forward with that digital identification system, okay, in order to participate in public society. All right, now I want to read this, Revelation chapter 13, because this is the main prophecy that we go into. I'm going to start at verse 13. It says, "And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men." Now, when you think about Esau, all right, you think about his military, because that's what he's most known for. Esau Edom is the nation of people that's known for going around the world and colonizing. And how do they do that? First, they send in their military to weaken the nation that they want to co-opt. All right, and when he brings fire down from heaven, okay, you think about in 1 Kings when Elijah, all right, I believe that's 1 Kings 17, when Elijah made fire come down and consume the altar. All right, well, Esau does that on the left-hand side, okay, with his bombs, his tomahawks. He did it in World War II with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, okay, bringing fire down from the heavens in the form of atomic bombs, okay? Now he has nuclear weapons. All right, it says, "It deceiveth them that dwell in the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had the power to do in the sight of the beast, in the side of the beast is that Eurocentric system, okay? Esau's power structure, those European nations, okay, that have coalesced and came together as a conglomerate of military nations so they could dominate the world economically, militarily, and philosophically, okay? It says, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. Now the beast that had a wound by the sword and did live is that same beast, the fourth beast in Daniel, the 7th chapter. That beast goes into the ancient Roman Empire. Okay, the ancient Roman Empire had a sword, okay, was wounded by a sword in the head, which means it fell. Okay, the pagan Roman Empire was destroyed. Okay, and for 1,000 years, okay, they were in a destitute position. These Edomites were in a destitute position of servitude under the Israelites, okay, during what they call the Dark Ages. Okay, for 1,000 years, they had no power, no influence in the world. But when the Renaissance came, starting in the late 1300s, early 1400s, that's when they started to come back into power and to rebuild that image, the image of Rome, okay? And that's where we stand here today. Okay, it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause as many that would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. We go into that verse all the time because, like you said, with this announcement that they're officially going to be going forward with that digital identification system in the United Kingdom, and don't worry, it won't be long before it comes here, to Canada, and to all over the world, okay? If you don't participate, which is what worship means, to participate or to consent unto the system that you're living in, okay? If you don't participate, you're going to be killed, which means to be separated from society. If you're separated from society, you won't be able to buy or sell, which is the next verse. It says, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay, you got to have that mark in order to buy and sell. You got to have that digital identification. You got to be a part of that digital identification system, and you got to have the apparatus, the actual physical device, in order to interact with that interface, man. Okay, so that was basically the major breaking news this week, is that the United Kingdom will be going forward with their digital identification system.
Yeah, and I got a photo of it right here. You meant that's King Charles, right?
Yep.
I got a photo as well. King Charles. It says King Charles confirms that the government will proceed with the introduction of the digital ID. So that's big news right there, man.
Yeah.
And the brother already brought it out, but you mind if I get it again?
Go ahead.
Revelation 13 and 15. The second beast was given power to give light, to give breath to the image of the first beast. The second beast, the second beast was basically the ancient Roman Empire, giving life back to the first beast, Esau, Edom, today America. The second beast was given power to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the image could speak and cause all who refuse to worship the image to be killed. The image is the new world order, today what they call the 2030 agenda, or they also call it the Great Reset, the Fourth Industrial Revolution. They also call it the Human Sustainability, or BCI. 16, they also force all peoples, great and small, rich and poor, free and bond. It's basically everybody in a nutshell. To receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads. Their right hand or forehead, that's really mainly what they're going to be getting it. Either on their hand or on their foreheads. You got this thing called the Neuralink, or just through the chip. It's going to be a literal microchip, by the way. Me and the brother believe that, and we preach that. Some camps, they don't believe that. As a matter of fact, there's a camp that preaches across the street. We caught him the other day, and I asked him about the mark of the beast, and he said, he basically said what Wi-Fi says. Every time you ask them about that, they say that it's basically they say it's sin. But that doesn't make sense, because Either way, even if it's sin, you got to preach against it, because there's a law that goes against cutting the flesh. So even if you didn't believe it's a microchip, you would still have to say it. At least say we don't think it's a microchip, but we still wouldn't. It would still be off to get it, because you gotta get a cut in your flesh to get that.
And you know what's funny, is that we asked him.
At least say that.
We asked him what the MOTB was. He said it was sin. But the very next week, which is this week, it comes out now. The UK is pushing their digital identification system.
Yeah,
These announcements are going forth every month, every week, about how a digital device is coming to all peoples of the world, and you're going to have to get down with this system in order to participate in society, right?
Yeah.
So all these camps that are telling you that the MOTB is something other than the chip, right? They're being confounded, not even just by us, but by the fact that the news cycle is literally telling you that you're going to have to get some sort of digital identification upon yourself, okay? So what do you, like, I wonder if he even saw that, because Yahushua says in Revelation, the 22nd chapter, that you're supposed to watch, man. You're supposed to watch, okay? That means that you're not on your watch. Anybody that's still saying that the MOTB is anything other than a physical device that's going to be inserted into your brain or in your hand, okay? Anything other than that, you're not watching, clearly.
Yeah, they're focused on debating with the people down there, but instead of being on the watchtower and blowing the trumpet.
Right, it's Jesus God. You're still doing the same old thing that have been, those points have already been proven and brought out by the Hebrew Israelites over and over and over again many years ago, man. You know? We're on the prophecy, man. Go ahead.
This is verse 16. 17. So that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. And that goes back to what you said, 6 protons, neutrons, electrons.
Yep, basically the operating system, right? The Heavenly Father has his operating system. What Esau, everything Esau does is on the left-hand side. He's trying to copy what the Heavenly Father does, but just with physical carnal devices, physical metal. So he creates a computer chip, a motherboard, whatever you want to call it, okay? And he tries to create that physical device so that he can control the elements, you know?
And so that's a literal 666. That's a literal number the Lord gave to man. Now, when we get to the spiritual bodies, it's probably going to be 7 neutrons, 7 protons, and electrons. And that's also spiritual, because the 6, you also break it down like that's Esau, and he's the 6, meaning incomplete.
Yeah, and also says it's the number of a man, right?
Yeah.
Well, what is a man? A man is a carbon-based life form. Okay, you are a carbon-based life form. Your flesh is made of carbon. All right, so that's why it's the number of a man. All right, and what does Esau want to control? He wants to control your flesh, your body. He wants to insert it. Esau's a carnal man. So everything Esau does is carnal. Nothing is spiritual with Esau. So it's going to be a literal, physical, fleshly device that you're going to have to take, man.
I got this.
Go ahead.
A second. Actually, I'll let you get it.
Okay, I wanted to go here because even though Esau is going to be getting to a certain point, right? The scriptures say that he has a bounds that he cannot pass. All right, he's going to be able to get to a certain point where he's going to get a certain amount of people chipped, and then the Lord's going to cut him off, man. All right, this is Psalms 21 and verse 9. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. Okay, when is that? That's in the day of the Lord. All throughout the scriptures, even Yahushua said it, right? Everything that is prophesied, it can be found in Moses, which is the Torah, in the prophets, which is the Tanakh, and in the Psalms. He also said the Psalms too. I read the Psalms yesterday, man. And every time I read the Psalms, I always pick up something new because there's so many of them, right? So there's so many of them that you can read. But when you go through the Psalms, pay attention and link it, right? Everything you're reading is linked to the prophecies, okay? This is Psalms chapter 21, in verse 9. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thine anger. The Lord Yahweh shall swallow them up in his wrath. It says, and the fire shall devour them. Okay, when the Lord lets these missiles go off, Okay, because Esau wants to accomplish his enterprise, right? Esau wants to do what he wants to do with this planet Earth and with the Lord's people, these people right here. Okay, he's gonna be stopped dead cold in his tracks, man. It says, "Their fruit shalt thou destroy from the earth, their seed from among the children of men." That goes into genocide, man. These Edomites are going to be wiped off the face of the planet eventually. Okay, it says, "For they intended evil against thee; they imagined a mischievous device." Well, now we can go and say, okay, what is that device that they imagine, right? What is that mischievous device that the wicked, which is Esau, Edom, according to the book of Malachi, chapter 1, okay? What is that mischievous device that they want to imagine against the Lord's people, man? It's that microchip. Okay, we got a picture of it down here. Okay, for they intended evil against thee; they imagine a mischievous device which they are not able to perform. They're not going to be able to perform this to the fullest extent that they want. They'll be able to perform to a certain point, like I said, but they're going to be cut off. All right. Therefore shalt thou make them turn their back when thou shalt make ready thine arrows upon thy strings against the face of them. The arrows are those missiles. That's how we know. Okay, this is why Elder Pastor Tahar always pushes the MOTB, which is why brothers are always doing videos on the MOTB, is because that device is basically the signal, right? That's the signal to let you know, okay, it's time for this to wrap up, man. That's why we're always pushing that device, okay? Because it lets us know, okay, Yahushua is about to come back right now, man. Okay?
I got more here.
Go ahead.
The 2 Thessalonians, going back to the mark of the beast, 2 Thessalonians 2 in the NLT, verse 3, don't be fooled by what they say, for what that day will not come until there is a great rebellion against the power, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the one who brings destruction. And that man is already being revealed by the elect, by the prophets the Lord sent out here. It's just that most of our people are not going to be given the spirit to wake up to see that, to accept that. It says, for that one who brings destruction, the one who brings destruction, because he's planning on destroying you, the Israelites. Verse 4, he will exalt himself and defy everything that people call God, and every object of worship. He will even sit in the temple of the power, Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, claiming that he himself is the power, Yahweh. Yahweh is the one true name we call upon, Yahweh, Yahushai. If you call it any other name, you're dead. You will be destroyed. Don't you remember that I told you about all this when I was with you? And you know what is holding him back, for he can be revealed only when his time comes. For this lawlessness is already at work secretly, and it will remain secret until the one who is holding it back steps out of the way. Basically, the Lord is the one who's gonna bring the way to destroy this devil. Verse 8, then the man of lawlessness will be revealed, but the Lord Yahushua will slay him with the breath of his mouth. That's going to be the chariot, all the missiles Yahushua is going to bring upon this devil, and destroy him by the splendor of his coming. Because Yahushua is going to come in a great army, a great army of ships, UFOs. I mean, we've seen UFOs. We've seen videos of certain jigs that film the UFOs up in the sky up there.
Yep.
And sometimes, in some of those videos, there's a lot of them. And Esau ultimately is trying to hide those. But ultimately, when Yahushua comes, because when he returns, it's going to be millions of them up there. That will amaze any human being, because nobody's, even just to see one chariot on close up, it's close. If it reveals to you like that on that level, though, that's amazing. But 1 million of those, that's going to be even greater.
Yeah.
So that's why it says again, with the splendor of his coming. 9, this man will come to do the work of Satan with counterfeit power and signs and miracles. That man there is Esau, Edom. Counterfeit power, signs, and miracles, because of this same mark of the beast. This devil is trying to do the same things that Yahweh did, but on the left side. Healing the lepers, healing the sick, bringing sight to the blind, but you can do that with the Neuralink.
And what is that, Wisdom of Solomon, or what is that, I believe it's Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, it says, they esteem us to be counterfeit, okay? And like you said, those miracles that he's performing are their counterfeit miracles. He needs like a physical apparatus. He needs a physical infrastructure that needs to be built in order to present a fraction of the power that we have access to on the right-hand side through Yahweh-Shai. All right?
This man will come to do the work of Satan with counterfeit power and signs and miracles. 10. He will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction, because they refuse to love and accept the truth that would save them. Once again, I'll pull this up. Once again, King Charles confirms that the government will proceed with the introduction of digital ID. But next, that's going to lead up to the actual mark of the beast ID that King Charles is going to, and also here Trump are going to implement people to have to take if they want to buy and sell. Yep. Now, they ain't going to have to take it, but if they choose that, they're going to have to starve or basically be out here without. But ultimately, the elect will be left out for them.
That's right. The Lord said he's going to take care of his elect. Isaiah 65:13. My servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry, because the men of the Lord are sacrificing right now. You know, brothers could be out here doing what these people are doing, going to the bars, you know, having a good time, trying to make some money. But we decided through the spirit of Yahweh Shai, because the Lord is the one that brought us out here. We ain't got no choice, man. The Lord's the one that woke you up. Okay, I believe it was St. John, the 14th or 15th chapter. He says, none may come to the Son except for the Father draw him. Okay, you can't come into this thing unless the Heavenly Father picks you. All right. So let me get this. All right, in the same topic, Psalms 33, which is another great chapter that goes into the prophecy of the gospel. I'm gonna start at verse 10. It says, the Lord Yahweh bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught. What is that counsel of the heathen? The counsel of the heathen, if you go to Psalms the 83rd chapter, you go to Psalms the 2nd chapter, right? What is the counsel of the heathen? That thing that they plan, okay, but it's not going to be able to go forward, is that they want to stop the Israelites from coming back into power. They want to make the name of Israel of no more effect, of no remembrance. That's why they stripped these people of their true nationality, and they gave them names like West Indians, Haitians, Dominicans, and Guatemalans, man. That's why they did that. Because if you remember, if you give a people back their identity, they're going to return back to their God eventually. And we know that our God is the true God, Yahweh. All right? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we have more power than these other nations. So we would be literally impossible to stop if we had our true identity back to us. That's literally what, if you read St. John, the 3rd chapter. St. John, the 3rd chapter is all about how Yahweh Shai told Nicodemus that in order to receive salvation, you got to return to your true nationality first. That's the first thing you got to do. You got to come back to being a real Israelite. Okay? Well, let me finish this verse real quick. Psalms 33, verse 10. The Lord bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught. He maketh the devices of the people of none effect. That chip is going to be of none effect on the elect, man. No effect. They're thinking they're cutting us off from food, from water, from housing. That's what they're thinking they're doing. But it's going to be of none effect. Okay, it says, the counsel of the Lord standeth forever. The thoughts of his heart are to all generations. Meaning all the prophecies in this book, even if you say, oh, well, that prophecy already passed, that happened back in the Assyrian Empire, or that happened back in the Medo-Persian Empire. Well, guess what? It says the counsel of the Lord standeth forever. His thoughts, the thoughts of his heart, which is his prophecies, his word, okay? The thoughts of his heart to all generations. And we're a generation, meaning these prophecies to these people are going to happen over and over and over again in every age, every era. It's a reincarnation of everything. It says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord Yahweh. What nation is that? These people right here, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Blessed are you. All right? Remember, Matthew 25 and 31 to 34 talks about how come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord Yahweh, and the people, the Israelites, whom he hath chosen for his own inheritance. Okay, so that means that the Lord is going to give these people the kingdom, man. The Lord is going to give these people the world, and this little device right here that Esau wants to spread out, that he wants to administer, that's going to come to none effect, man. So come on, Esau, with the chip, man. We're waiting for you. You know?
Yeah, you got plenty of movies showing you about a microchip and people taking it.
Yeah.
Recently, you had the show in Squid Games. They showed you in the newer season that came out, microchip and tracking. And brother mentioned it, since you mentioned that, Psalm 83, the precept here, that says, Psalm 83 and 1, keep not thou silent, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, which the name is Yahweh, Yahweh Shai once again. Yahweh, the name of the Father, Yahweh Shai, the name of the Son. Yahweh means he is, or he to be, or he exists. Yahweh Shai means he saves, or he delivers. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Going back to what I said earlier in the beginning, who's the Lord's enemy? For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Yeah, they are. When you go into the word confederate here, I'm gonna look it up here. It goes into a person, group, or nation united with others in an alliance, league, or conspiracy. Yeah, then it gives you that confederacy on when you go more on down in the same verse. It says they are confederate against thee. 6, the tabernacles of Edom. Edom means red.
Yep.
And the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarites. That's Edom, Ishmael, Amalek, Moab, Jebal, the Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher is also joined with them. They have helping the children of Lot. Selah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin in the brook of Kishon. So King David there was referencing what was his name? Gideon. When Gideon destroyed the ultimate to the Lord, the spirit power of the Lord helped destroy them through Gideon, and the faith that Gideon had there. So that's how the Lord is going to destroy these nations. And when you go into how Gideon destroyed them, he destroyed them with these jars of fire. They caused a lot of fire and confusion. And it's simultaneously to how the King David here referenced that for a reason, spiritually signifying how the Lord's ghost is going to use this fire to destroy America, Babylon the Great, with a thermonuclear fire. I looked up the Tsar Bomba. Basically, the Tsar Bomba has 50 megatons of TNT. When you go into the Saiyan-2 missile, that also has 50. It's basically 50 megatons of TNT too. It's basically the same thing. But Esau would tell you it's not the same thing. Because ultimately, yeah, it has multiple warheads, but it's still, if you were to combine them into one, it's still basically the same, would be the same impact. And on top of it, they're faster. The Tsar Bomba wasn't fast enough to travel like that. It was too heavy and shit. And today Esau would have been able to take that shit down easily. But with the technology now, they have the super glide missiles and the hypersonics, man, they can. The Tsar Bomba couldn't do that. He couldn't do that.
Basically, Moscow could hit Washington, D.C. in about 20 minutes if they want to. From Moscow to Washington, D.C., they can send a hypersonic. It'll hit Washington, D.C. in 20 minutes. They can't react to that speed, man.
Who perished at Endor, they became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb, Yea, all the princes at Zebah and at Salmana. I believe that's the same in the same account of Gideon. Who said, let us, I'll look it up later. Who said, let us take to ourselves the house of God, the power and possession. Or our power make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burning for wood. There goes the fire again, mentioning the fire. And as the flame set up the mountains on fire. Because like the brother also mentioned, my brother brought out how it would take 20 missiles to destroy Mount Everest completely. So, as it says, set up the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O power. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Let them be put to shame and perish. That men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, are the Most High over all the earth. If you have something.
Yeah, I want to continue on here in Psalms. I skipped to the 47th chapter because what the Ak is reading is basically what the Lord is going to bring forth in order to free his people, all right? All of this is culminating for the one reason alone. It tells you in Isaiah 34 that this is for the controversy of Zion because of the way that the Lord's people have been treated down here on earth, okay? And most of the Lord's people have been totally corrupted in their minds that they have now joined unto the heathen, become unto heathen like unto heathen themselves. But the Lord has left a remnant, okay? If you want to get Isaiah, I think it's the 11th chapter, where it talks about the remnant. The Lord has left to us a remnant that are going to be able to escape this judgment, this fire that he's talking about, and it's going to be able to inherit the kingdom. Let me go
again.
Isaiah 11.
Verse?
I think it's just before where it talks about the remnant. Yeah,
I'll try.
I think if you had not left them unto us a remnant, it would have been on the side of the one. I think that's what it says. Psalms 47. Let me read this. Let's start from the top, verse 1. It says, to the chief musician, a psalm of the sons of Korah. Oh, clap your hands, all ye people. Shout unto the power with voice of triumph. It says, see that voice of triumph, all right, if you think about it, that's the song of Moses, right? But that's the gospel, right? So when me and the brother come out here, we're basically singing a song of triumph because we're telling all the nations, we're telling our people especially, that we are going to have the victory over this system, man. We're going to be the ones that are going to rule the world after all this is done. Okay, after everything is said and done, the next superpower on the planet Earth is going to be the nation of Israel. Okay, led by Yahushua and 144,000. It says, shout unto the power with voice of triumph, for the Lord Yahweh Most High is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. That's something you don't learn in church, man. We go to Sunday school. They don't tell you that the Lord is terrible. What do they say? They say God is good all the time he's good or whatever. Okay? But like the famous quote from Lex Luthor in the movie Superman versus Batman, what did he say? He said, if God is all powerful, he cannot be all good. If he's all good, he cannot be all powerful. Right? So the Lord is a terrible God. All right? That's why one of his names is Al-Shaddai, which means terrible demon-like power. Okay? It says, he shall subdue the people under us. Under who? Under the Israelites, these people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And the nations under our feet. Psalm 2nd chapter. Okay, sit thou at my right hand till I put thine enemies under thy feet. All right. It says, he shall choose our inheritance for us, the excellency of Jacob, whom he loved. Selah. So whenever the Lord is mentioning the people that he loves, what does he call them? He calls them beloved. Okay. Which in the Hebrew is Dawada or Dawada, okay, which is David's name. Okay, that's what that means. So the people that he loved was Jacob, which is the Israelites. So when he's talking about the beloved this, the beloved of that, that's talking about you Israelites, man, you elect, especially on this side. Okay, not all the Lord doesn't love all you Israelites on this side. As a matter of fact, okay, he despises most of you because you're all wicked as hell. Okay, you're gonna go down with this place. God is going up with a shout, the Lord with the sound of a trumpet. Sing praises to Yahweh, sing praises to our King, sing praises, okay? So that's what me and the Ak are doing right now. We're bringing out these praises by making our bodies a living sacrifice, bringing out the information, prophesying, letting you know what's coming. Do you have that verse?
Yeah.
Yep.
Isaiah 1:9. Except the Yahweh of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant.
Small remnant, okay? Go ahead.
We should have been as Sodom and we should have been like unto Gomorrah.
Yeah, so when that fire is coming, that judgment that we're talking about, we're telling you about the missiles that are coming, we're telling you about the chariots that are coming with those laser beams. There's only going to be a few Israelites, a few select men, women, and children from these nations, these tribes, that are going to make it out of this thing, man. Okay? That's that remnant that's being talked about in Isaiah the 11th chapter. All right?
Can I get this?
Yep.
And this is 2 Thessalonians 2, and I'll continue, and 10. He will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction. He will use every kind of evil deception. Evil deception is things that's going to pertain unto your flesh, like food or woman or the entertainment, everything that Jake loves here. The money, the bread and circus, basically. It says, yeah, because they refuse to love and accept the truth that would save them. Evil kind of deception to fool those on their way to destruction. Because that's leads you to destruction in the ways of the flesh. When you think about it, I mean common sense, because he's gonna use every kind of. I gotta read it again. He will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction. Because when you think about it, it's really evil for you to be deceived, to do something wicked, do something that's already wicked, that's of the flesh. You're gonna be fooled to do something wicked just so you can continue in your flesh. That's an evil deception. But that's even more evil because you're gonna choose to do that just so you can continue to be continue in your flesh. He will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction, because those that take it are already been on their way to destruction. Once you take that chip, you're not going to be able to take it out and say, oh, Salakia, Yahweh, Shah, I'm taking this chip out. Right, you know? So it says here, because they refuse to love and accept the truth that would save them. So Yahweh will cause them to be greatly deceived, and they will believe these lies. So that's the lies they're going to believe is taking the chip, joining the broad gate. That broad gate, man. Then they will be condemned for enjoying evil rather than believing the truth. Then they will be condemned for enjoying evil rather than believing the truth. So then that's when the Lord is going to be able to fully be justified in destroying them. Because now you decided to go ahead and take something that the Lord already is warning you about not to take. See, that's how righteous and just and fair the Lord is. Because, I mean, he could already destroy you motherfuckers out here, but just so he can be further validated and destroying you, he's gonna send us the prophets to tell you not to take the chip. So now you've been warned, and then you're gonna take the chip. Even though he told you what would be the result of that destruction, now you're gonna be able to be destroyed.
That's right. Yahweh Shai said, if I had not come unto them, they would have no sin. But since I have come unto them, they have no excuse for their sin. So now, these people, like even people walking by right now, they know exactly who we are and what we preach and teach. Okay? They've all heard. Everybody has heard this message. And whether they believe or not, we don't really care. Okay? That's up to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai. Okay? Whether they believe or not. But our job is to bring out this message so that these people cannot have an excuse. So when that fire comes, hey man, it's on you, man. All right? That's Ezekiel the 3rd chapter. Ezekiel the 33rd chapter. Okay? Let me get this real quick. 2 Corinthians 2:11. These Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We're not ignorant of Esau's devices. That chip is his ultimate device. That's the device that he's going to implement, but is ultimately going to fail in the last days. Okay, so we've already told these people, man, don't take that chip. All right, even the one guy over there last week that was preaching the wrong thing as far as the MOTV is concerned, we told him that it was the chip. All right, well, now he knows. when the chip is finally pushed out, he's gonna remember the fact that me and the brother told him, hey man, that's the mark of the beast. Okay, and he's gonna have to make that decision whether or not he's gonna take it. Okay, but it's likely that unless he repents and teaches the right way, it's likely that he's gonna be taking that chip, because that's something you gotta mentally prepare yourself. It's easy to say right now, oh well, I'll just deal with that when I come to it and I just won't take it. But what happens when they threaten your home, right? Your apartment. You're gonna be kicked out of your apartment. They're about to take your car. You're about to lose your job. You have no access to your bank account. You can't go to the store. What then? You haven't been mentally and spiritually preparing yourself to deal with that type of pressure. Okay, and that's what me and the brother and the rest of the brothers and the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, starting from Elder Apostle Tahar on down, have been harping on and teaching, is to spiritually prepare yourself for the pressure that is about to be applied to the Israelites, man, and the rest of the world. You know?
I'll get this.
Yep.
And this is an article called entitled AI Data Centers in Texas Used 463 million gallons of water as residents are told to take shorter showers. And me personally, I believe that these data centers, they're being more and more built out here just before the microchips, so because they're going to be used to track. I believe they're going to be some way connected to the microchip, these data centers. And this other article says nearly 50,000 Lake Tahoe residents could lose power access because of data centers. Yeah, you've been hearing a lot more about those. We should keep our eye out for those, about the data centers.
Yeah, I saw a video a couple days ago, and this guy was talking about Michigan specifically. I believe Grand Rapids has 2 locations where they plan on putting massive data centers. They haven't started construction yet, but they've already signed contracts with companies to put 2 data centers in Grand Rapids just alone. And they got like 12 of them already all throughout the state, okay, to start building those things. So these motherfuckers are starting to move forward with their plan, okay?
And well, if you have anything.
Yeah, I wanted to get 1 Peter 1 and 4, 1 and 5, because this is what we got to go through, man. This is 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 5. It says, who are kept by the power of Yahweh through faith unto salvation, ready to be revealed in the last time. This is the last time. What does that mean, last time? Because each time or era or age, okay, you have a fulfillment of these prophecies. This is the last time we're going to have to go through this cycle of being born into captivity, being raised under the heathen, going off, being drawn away from our power. Okay, this is the last time we're going to have to go through this type of oppression in these bodies, man. Because after this, it's all the kingdom of heaven. It says, wherein ye greatly rejoice, though now for a season, if need be, ye are in heaviness. That's what we're in the house of mourning. What's the scripture say? It says it's better to be in the house of mourning than to be in the house of feasting. Okay, we're in the house of mourning because we fucking hate this place, man. We want to see it go down. So we're happy the fact that they want to put these data centers up. We're happy the fact that they want to push out this identification system. We're happy about that. Because that means these people, all these people out here that love this place, that agree and are down with the oppression of the Israelites, because in order for you to have an operating society in Esau's world, the Israelites got to be oppressed, man. Okay? So we're happy that this place is going to be destroyed. It says, wherein ye greatly rejoice, though now for a season, if ye are in heaviness through manifold temptations, the trial of your faith being much more precious than gold, that persisted through it tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory in the appearing of Yahweh Mashiach. So that's why the Lord said, he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. So if we endure this trial of our faith, if we endure the trial of our of these temptations, okay, that means it's going to be manifested into what he said. It says, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahweh Mashiach. Okay, that's the ultimate goal, man, to get to that point.
I got this article here.
Yep.
Just so you have it.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I also got this article right now that's going into this is like this past week on May 4th, on the 14th. It says Taiwan holds live fire military drones as Trump meets China's exile. Yeah, so that's Taiwan once again. Amid heightened tensions and military pressure from China toward Taiwan. So once again, Taiwan holds live fire military drills amid heightened tensions from China once again. So just going more into that was just a couple days ago. Just updating you on that situation. That keeping my eye out on China right there, because that's still China and Taiwan is definitely still preparing for war. Joel 3:10, as the scripture says. Wake up the nations. The Lord's has already been putting these nations in the state of preparing for that, to get that third war ready.
Yeah, let me add to that. Matthew 24 and verse 6. It says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence." We had that hantavirus that's spreading apparently, and they're going to make something of that. The elder posted in the community. He said posted a post that says that hantavirus, if it's left in your system long enough, it can turn into an STD and turn your seed into a carrier of certain diseases. Okay, so these people, Esau's getting ready to fuck you people up, man. Okay, he's gonna be able. The Lord's gonna allow him to do a lot of that, man, because a lot of you people need that great judgment. All right, these plagues and pestilences that the Lord is about to bring. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. That's those wars that are getting ready to pop off. It says, "And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." So right now we're in the beginning of sorrows. Like we said, we're already in Jacob's trouble. We're in the beginning of Jacob's trouble. We're not seeing the full manifestation of it, but soon, guess what? When this famine kicks in, like I said, the famine. Okay, when the famine kicks in, and none of these people are able to feed their kids, man, that's when you're gonna start seeing bodies drop, man. People are gonna start robbing people. People are gonna start killing people, all for the food, just so they can feed their kids and their families. All right. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. They already hate us, man. Okay, they already hate the so-called Hebrew Israelites. Our position in this world is not to be liked. We're not supposed to be buddy with all these people out here. As a matter of fact, these people are supposed to look at us with disdain. The scriptures say we are made the offscouring of the world. Okay, to be fools for Yahweh's sake, and that's fine. All right, because there's a greater glory that comes after that. It says, "And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another." Okay, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. Yeah, many false prophets like Deacon Hakah. Okay, that nigga, right? He said that he denied the name. He now saying that the name of Yahweh Shai is not the name of Yahweh Shai. He said the name of the Heavenly Father is not Yahweh. What else did he say? He said that all the heathen could be saved. This nigga is a false prophet. He's leading a lot of you Israelites into destruction. We asked that guy last week who we talked to about the MOTB, who we was going off. He used to have a partner out there teaching with him. We asked him where he went, and he said that he wanted to go follow Deacon at Genesis. That's foolishness, man. And you Israelites that go along with that, you deserve destruction, because you are straight up stupid, man. Okay?
Yeah, this is Ecclesiastes 4, verse 1 to 3. "So I return and consider all the oppressions that are done under the sun. And behold," we're under the sun right here. Let's talk about the earth. "And behold, the tears of such as were oppressed, and they had no comforter." Yeah, and when you go into, I did a video on it yesterday, going into the United Fruit Company. I entitled the video, if you follow my channel, Feeding the Sheep 144. This is the camp channel. It's Feeding the Lambs 144, by the way, just so you know. And you can tell your channel.
Yep, Gabar-yah-ahla, warrior of Yahweh.
Gabar-yah-ahla, warrior of Yahweh. If you want to follow the brother, you should follow us. Check us out.
That's right.
But basically, I went into that video yesterday going into it's entitled The Circle E. Because basically, when you go into that guy that owned the United Fruit Company, and ultimately he had to be a Edomite, a small hat. He went into Guatemala and used all their land, because really Jake at that point, what were they gonna do with their land? They were already slaves and got their ass beat by the conquistadors. When you already get your ass beat in war and you become their slaves, you can't come back up from that. There's a process of there's a process, a period where you can't do anything.
Yeah.
Just like Esau, when it was our kingdom, Esau couldn't just come up. You didn't hear about Esau. You didn't hear about Esau during the Byzantine Empire. You didn't hear about Esau during the Crusades, because the Crusaders were Jake.
Yeah, and that's in Job, the 30th chapter. It says they were driven forth from among men as a thief. Okay, they were ostracized basically from society. Rightfully so too.
Basically, that last emperor was the last Edomite emperor was the Titus. The Domitian.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the 5 emperors, and then you had Septimius Severus. It was a black African. And basically, when he got in there, in the story it says he didn't allow Edomites on top. He put in a lot of his African brothers up in there. So this is Ecclesiastes. And then you got the crisis of the 3rd century, which is 50 years, which is like 50 years where you get like 50 emperors. So to show you how bad it was, and then you get the Byzantine Empire. Then you get Constantine, then you get the Byzantine Empire. We was rolling for a long time. But this is Ecclesiastes 4 in verse. So basically going back to the United Fruit Company. Esau just took all their shit, man. He took all their land. He basically exploited Zebulon, the Guatemalans over there today. You Latin tribes. He exploited them and took all their land, took it all up, took out the president. At that point they already had a puppet president, so they were already doing bad. But Esau basically went in there with his resources and his ideas, plans, and made billions off selling bananas and exported them back to America and parts of California, different parts of America. If you go all into that, you can look at all into that in the video I made. Basically, that fits with Ecclesiastes 4:1. So I return and consider all the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears of such as were oppressed. So Jacob was oppressed. They were sad. They were crying because they had to work 7 days a week. If they didn't work, they killed them, and they weren't getting paid any real money, and they had no comforter. And on the side of the oppressed, there was power, but they had no comforter. And that reminds me exactly of that dude that owned United Fruit Company. He had all the power, and then on the other side, Jake had no powers. You could have had some Jakes in there that was wicked and got paid and decided to help Esau with the dirty work. But even then, they still didn't get much money. Esau was still putting his foot up our ass, and we didn't have any money. We had nothing. We were working for free, essentially, for pennies on the dock. The same thing we did with Gad, Issachar. And that cuts basically that whole argument of, we don't fuck with those Mexicans because those Mexicans, those Guatemalans, Latinos over there, they have their own country over there. But you could say the same thing about you Judites. You Judites, you have your own country, Africa. But we can't go into Africa and see a lot of you Judites doing good. It's like the same argument. It's just your tribes are divided. The tribes are completely divided right now. Until Yahushua returns, who is a black man who's going to restore us back, bring the tribes back in one compact unit. That's all.
As a matter of fact, speaking of that, I had the perfect scripture, perfect transition. This is the prayer of Hannah. Okay, when you read in the scriptures, when somebody like, you think about Zechariah, John the Baptist's father, he prayed, what he was saying. And in this example, like when Moses prayed, what he was saying, and then it's written in the scriptures what they prayed. Those scriptures, if you read their prayers, they're literally prophesying. Okay, and this one I read the other day. All right, I wanted to bring it out, but like I said, Yahushua is going to come to restore all these tribes, man. Okay, all these tribes are going to come together, and they're going to be one nation once more. Okay, like it was in the old days. So let me read this. This is 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 1. Okay, this is from Hannah, which was the mother of Samuel. Okay, it says, and Hannah prayed and said, my heart rejoiceth in the Lord Yahweh, mine horn is exalted, okay, in the Lord. My mouth is enlarged over mine enemies. Now that's an important point, because our mouth, right, is enlarged over our enemies. Even though me and Ak, we're standing here, right, we're making these videos, nobody's really standing in front of us and listening. You got people walking by, they might turn their head or something like that. But really nobody's listening to us. But then again, everybody is listening to us by de facto of the other camps, the other brothers in the videos, even our videos, the elders, right? They're all listening to the Hebrew Israelites. That's why the Hebrew Israelites are the talk of all social media. Everybody's talking about us, whether it's positive or negative. They're all talking about us because they're listening to what we're saying. If what we were saying was bugged out, if what we were saying was false, if we were preaching a false gospel, then nobody would be listening to us. We'd be like the fucking Jehovah's Witnesses, man. Ain't nobody talking about them, right? They got a false gospel. Ain't nobody talking. We'd be like the Mormons. Ain't nobody worried about no Mormons. But you're talking about the Hebrew Israelites, especially the ones from the One West doctrine, okay? Because you know what we're saying is true. You're hating on us, but you're still watching the videos. You're still listening. You're still learning. Okay, you know why? Because you can't get an education out of the Christian church. You got to come to the Hebrew Israelites, the men of the great millstone, to get the 100% truth. That's why you're watching us and hating. We love it, man. Okay, let's keep going. It says, my mouth is enlarged over mine enemies, because I rejoice in thy salvation. There is none holy as the Lord Yahweh, for there is none beside thee, neither is there any rock like our power. Talk no more so exceedingly proudly. Who talks exceedingly proudly more than Esau? Nobody. Okay, talk no more exceedingly proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth, for the Lord Yahweh is power of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. So remember in I believe that's Daniel Daniel the 4th? Is that Daniel the 4th chapter? Mene Tekel Asharsi. Okay, when he says Nebuchadnezzar saw that writing on the wall, okay, basically saying that his kingdom was weighed in the balances. All right, Esau's kingdom has now been weighed in the balances. He's weighed your actions. What are Esau's actions? You go around the world, you rape, you rob, you murder, you colonize, you kill, you steal, and you destroy. And that's your actions that have been weighed. And so now you're going to reap what you have sown. Okay, it says, the bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumbled are girded with strength. They that are stumbled, that are girded with strength, would be you Israelite men. We're the ones that had fallen. We're the ones that had stumbled. We fell out of our position of authority and power, and now the Lord said he's going to gird us up with strength. Can you grab me Isaiah 40 and I think it's 30? They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. It's 30 or 31, I think. It says, talk no more exceedingly proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth, for the Lord Yahweh is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumbled are girded with strength. You Israelites are about the brothers that teach the 100% true doctrine are about to be girded with strength. All right, you got it?
Yeah. Isaiah 40 and 30. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. 31. But those who hope in the Yahweh will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint.
Yeah, it says that even the youth stumble and fall. Okay? Those that stumbled were you Israelite men, you Israelites as a whole, but it starts with the Israelite men, the ones that stumbled and fell, but we're going to be girded with strength. Okay? It says they that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that were hungry ceased, so that the barren have that hath borne, so that the barren hath borne 7, and she that hath many children is waxed feeble. That's going into the transition from the Israelites becoming weak into the Edomites becoming weak and the Israelites becoming strong. Okay? It says, the Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down into the grave and bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust. That's Isaiah 61. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among the princes and make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he has set the world upon them. So it's the Lord that he's going to be the one to set the ones that are low, the ones that are poor, on top of the world. This is about world rulership, world domination. Okay, ultimately, in the end, it's going to be the ones that are girded back with strength that are going to re-inherit what they had in the beginning. Okay, he will keep them. He will keep the feet of his saints. We know who the saints are. Psalms 50:5. It says, he will keep the feet of the saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness. For by strength shall no man prevail. The adversaries of the Lord Yahweh shall be broken into pieces. What was that? Revelation 2:26. All right, we're going to break these nations into pieces. Okay, it says the adversaries of the Lord shall be broken in pieces. That's also Jeremiah, I believe that's 50:20 or 51:20, something like that. It says, the Lord shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto his king and exalt the horns of his anointed. Okay, so that basically goes into the gist of what the prophecies are all about, man. Each book, really a lot of chapters in each book have that same prophetic utterance. Okay, the prophetic utterance of the gospel, which is the restoration of the nation of Israel, going from rags to riches and dominating the rest of the world and all these other nations, man. All right?
You can get something for me?
Yep.
And just basically where the blessing, I think it's it might be in Genesis 49 or Genesis 32, basically about the blessing of Issachar.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that goes like dip his foot in oil or something like that. Because basically when you go back into it, you also have Mexico that had a lot of oil too, and they got exploited off that resource. Because once again, what the fuck is Issachar gonna do? What is these people gonna do when they already got their asses beat? They're being reformed through that their oppressors, the ones who defeated them, their doctrine, and they got no money, they got no resources, no technology. And Esau came in, and he had the technology, he had the power to travel back and forth to study and look into things and come up with ideas and make billions off these ideas. He had the all the opportunities, all the resources, just like your rich Edomites today and your suburbs today, than Jakes in the hood. Jakes in the hood, they come from nothing and how to get from nothing to get somewhere, and then even then they're still selling out, and it comes with an ultimatum of selling out on their people to get there. So we're cursed, man. They're going to proceed into the curses. So I looked up the Standard Oil Company. So I got this here. Standard Oil and other foreign petroleum conglomerates systematically exploited Mexican natural resources and the local workforce, particularly indigenous populations, by dispossessing them of ancestral lands. The scriptures say not to remove your neighbor's landmark, and extracted immense wealth while providing poor wages. Yeah, and that reminds you of James 5 and 5. I'll get that if you can get that. Did you find it?
The one that dipped his foot in oil was Asher. Do you want Issachar's though?
I want Issachar.
Okay, Issachar's is
it says treasures, something of the land or something. It saw his plan was pleasant.
And of Zebulun, it says, and of Zebulun he said, rejoice in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents. They shall call the people unto the mountain, and they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness, for they shall suck the abundance of the seas and of the treasures hid in the sand.
Of treasures hid in the sand. That's the oil.
Yeah. And you think about Guatemala, from Mexico. If you think about from Mexico all the way down to Panama, which is Issachar and Zebulun, that's a very tropical area. Okay, Central America, that's a very tropical area. And in those soils, you have rich in minerals. Oil is one. but you also have Mexico, which is the largest silver deposits in the world, in their soil, and they're not allowed to have access to that, okay? Because Esau controls that. All right, that's why right now their president, a female small hat, the president of Mexico, small hat, she's controlled by Amalek. Okay, Mexico, I think I said it before, Mexico should be the richest nation in the world, technically, if you that's just based off the amount of precious metals that are in their soil. Okay?
Yeah, it said, read it again.
It says,
just that part where it says treasures.
Yep, it says, they shall call the people unto the mountain, there they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness, for they shall suck the abundance of the seas and of the treasures hid in the sand.
Treasures hid in the sand. And this is James 5, going back to how John D. Rockefeller, basically, he was of the owner of Standard Oil Company. It says, systematically exploited Mexican natural resources in the local workforce, particularly indigenous populations, by dispossessing them of ancestral lands and extracting immense wealth while providing poor wages.
Yep.
So not only did he just go in there and take all the oil, it already wasn't his land to begin with anyway. But he killed and murdered first and foremost.
Yeah, and they exploit the people too.
And this severe economic and social friction ultimately led to the historic nationalization of the Mexican oil industry. The fraught relationship between Standard Oil, such as its Mexican affiliates and subsidiaries like Waters Pierce and Mexico, involved several major points of contention. It says here, rejection of Mexican law. When workers went on strikes seeking better pay and safer conditions in the 1930s, the Mexican Supreme Court ruled in favor of the workers. Standard Oil and other foreign companies defied the court orders. Expropriation in 1938, in response to this defiance and the exploitation of the country's subsoil, the Mexican president Lázaro Cárdenas invoked Article 27 of the Mexican Constitution to seize the assets of the foreign oil companies. This act laid the foundation for the creation of the state-owned oil company, Pemex. So they still might have ended up, Issachar might have wised up there, but it still meant the money wasn't going to the people. And the president there, he was already corrupt. They already, all these presidents by now are already corrupt at this point.
That's right.
I mean, that's, even then, you can argue with the laws and the fairness we have now, but why does Issachar still have to come? This is enough evidence. Issachar still has to come over here just to make some money to bring back.
It's because their currency is devalued. Okay, they don't. The peso is devalued in comparison to the dollar. So you can make money in Mexico, but it's not going to be as strong as a purchasing power as it is to the dollar. That's why they come here, man.
This is Ecclesiastes in the regular Bible 5 and 8. If you see the poor oppressed in a district, and justice and rights denied, do not be surprised at such things. Going back to Standard Oil, for one official is eyed by a higher one, and over them are others higher still. And it says here in Ecclesiastes directly addresses the reality of oppression in three main passages. Solomon, the teacher, observes that the powerful exploits the vulnerable, and concludes the powerful exploits the vulnerable. Esau was exploiting us, using us. When you go and you can get the word exploit from me.
You want the etymology or the definition?
Both. It says, observes that the powerful exploit the vulnerable, and concludes that without divine justice, the cruelty of the world makes life seem utterly meaningless. Yeah, without divine justice, the cruelty of the world makes life seem utterly meaningless. Just like even today, sometimes when we just look at how Esau is ruling the world, it just seems meaningless. It literally makes it meaningless. That's literally why Yahushua was saying there at Solomon is Yahushua reincarnation. He was literally saying that life is meaningless. Life is meaningless because he was seeing how it was going to be in the future to come. And life is meaningless right now. For us, in a way, at least in a fleshly stance, not with his faith now, but in the fleshly stance, because we can't get a woman, we can't get a wife, we can't have a woman, or you want to have a woman, we can't make the money we want to make, we can't make that Drake money, that flex money that Drake has. We can't do that, bro. So it's like meaningless, but it's in a fleshly way. But that's why Solomon said here, it has to be justice. Justice means goes into balance. It has to be fair. It has to be a righteous order. That's why he said the whole conclusion of the matter: fear the Lord, keep His commandments. Because Solomon knew that the Lord was gonna. Solomon was blessed by the Lord, so he would have known more than us how much the Lord bless you. Isaiah 1:17. That's why it says, "Learn to do good, seek justice, help the oppressed." And that's what me and the Akima here are doing through Spirit, man. We're helping the oppressed. Yep. We're seeking justice. We're learning to do good at the same time. Defend the cause of the orphans. Who's the orphans? The ones on the sign right here. We just brought out those accounts of how these people were oppressed. Just like how Judah was oppressed. You can argue with just how Judah was oppressed, but now you see, you can bring out, how Jay-Z is a millionaire and make that the argue, the whole cream of the cherry on top of your argument of how we're not, there's no racism now. You can't be that way. We can't keep our laws though. It says, fight for the rights of widows. And that's what me and the Akima doing, man. We're saying, fuck that shit. Cause that shit ain't the justice, man. That shit ain't, no, it's not. Just cause there's one nigga that's on top doesn't mean that we're all on top of this nigga, man.
You gotta remember the scriptures are addressed to the nation as a whole. Okay? When the Heavenly Father speaks, when the Heavenly Father brings judgment, He brings judgment on he can do it at an individual level, but He brings judgment on a nation as a whole unit. Okay, so just because you have a LeBron James, or just because you have a Kanye West or a goddamn Jay-Z, right? That has nothing to do with the fact that our nation as a whole is completely and utterly destitute, man. Okay? Which if you go into it, that's really a proof of reincarnation. Because what is the whole point of why is it a significant thing that our nation as a whole is destitute, but you got Jay-Z? Why would Jay-Z care? Because when Jay-Z dies and he has to come back, he's coming back in his nation. Okay, he might not come back under that same bloodline. What if he doesn't have any kids? He's got to come back under some Judite or some Benjamin. He's got to come back as one of the tribes, man. And that tribe he comes back into, that family he comes back into, they might be destitute. So the nation being lifted up as a whole, it benefits everyone, man. Okay. Now in the kingdom of heaven, we're not gonna die, so we're not gonna worry about that. But as a whole, our whole history is us coming back under the curses, man.
That's why there's Ecclesiastes 7:7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroys the heart.
Yep.
And I got a bit more information on here.
I got that word for exploit.
Oh, bring that up.
This is the definition, Merriam-Webster's, for exploit. It says especially a notable, memorable, or heroic act. Okay? The second definition, to make productive use of, to utilize, Or 2, to make use of meaningly or unfairly for his own advantage. That's what Esau did. He exploited the tribes to his own advantage unfairly. Okay? The etymology, it says the outcome of an action, carrying out, achievement, gain, advantage. Very common words used for the sense of action, deed, profit, achievement, from the Latin expletum, a thing settled, ended, or displayed. Noun used in the neuter of expletus. Past says past principle of expletere. Unfold, unroll, disentangle. Feat, achievement. Yep, to unfold something, to make an action or an outcome come out of something. That's what Esau did. By using the tribes to get what he wanted to get done. Okay, that's what Esau did. Okay, because we had no power.
Matter of fact, I looked up who's the rich elite of Mexico, and this is the photo that popped up with all Edomites.
Yeah, all Edomites, man. Small hats.
Those all look like Edomites, man.
That's right. And so you
show them.
Yeah, these are the elites of Mexico, man. Okay, that's the elites of Mexico. Okay, so when these people, right? You got a lot of people say, oh well, I'll just leave the United States and I'll move to Mexico. You understand Esau controls Mexico too, right? You understand Esau controls Guatemala, he controls Honduras, he controls Panama, he controls El Salvador, he controls Brazil, he controls Venezuela, he controls Colombia, he controls all of that, man. This is the Western Hemisphere. This is his world, man. Esau controls the world. Job 9:24, man. He says the world, the whole globe is given to the hands of the wicked. They control it all. Okay, so you ain't going nowhere you're going to escape this MOTV. You're not going nowhere where you're going to escape the fact that you're going to have to, at some point, make a decision between serving the Heavenly Father, following His commandments, or getting down with Esau and worshiping the beast. Whether you're in the United States or you're in Mexico or you're in Canada or... Yep.
Because it says right here, I put, how did Standard Oil exploit Mexico by their oil practices? It says here, Standard Oil exploited Mexico in the early 20th century by extracting massive wealth through resource extraction while reinvesting very little back into the local economy. So they extracted mass wealth through that oil, taking that oil, and then they didn't give anything really back into that same country of those peoples that were living in there, especially because they were Mexicans. Because it just goes back to how Esau is made to be. He's made to be our enemy.
Yep.
Because when you go into it, it reminds you of the scripture in Ecclesiastes. Unless you got something, can you look at that up? Where it says, how Solomon made of gold is common. Because when you go into it, Solomon, prime example, when Solomon was in power, he was putting all that money back for Jakes to have, man. Because it says he made gold as common as silver, and silver as common as bronze. But you weren't seeing that with John D. Rockefeller here, man. It says their practices included severe wage inequality, monopolistic control over the domestic market, and aggressive defiance of national sovereignty and labor laws. Yeah, man, that's what Esau was doing.
I got it.
Yeah, get it.
This is 2 Chronicles chapter 1 and verse 14. It says, and Solomon gathered chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, which he placed in the chariot cities. It says, and with the king at Jerusalem. And the king made silver and gold at Jerusalem as plenteous as stones and cedar trees, and made he as the sycamore trees that are in the vale for abundance.
Solomon was putting the money back in Jake's pocket, so they can eat, so they can have.
That's in the law too. You're supposed to give. You're supposed to give to the poor of your nation. You're supposed to make sure they're all right. Okay, and that's the best way to do it. Think about it, if even if you were of a low status Israelite, but you're still good. Your family is good. You can enjoy your life. Okay? Esau don't do that. Esau will strip his own people of power and wealth so that he can have power and wealth to himself. Okay?
That's why it said right there that by dispossessing them of ancestral lands, it also mentions not to take the lands.
Yep.
While providing poor wages. That's why you had something called the safer strikers. Workers went on strike seeking better pay and safer conditions in the 1930s at Mexico. And then you got that's why I said the James 5 and 5. You have lived on earth in luxury and self-indulgence. You have fattened yourselves in the day of slaughter. You have condemned in the murder the innocent one who is not opposing you. You back up in verse 3. Your gold and silver are corroded. Their corrosion will testify against you and eat your flesh like fire. You have hoarded wealth in the last days. Look, the wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord Yahweh Almighty. There you go, man. So you Edomites, man, you're gonna have to pay.
That's right.
I got a bit more info, but I mean, you basically get the point there, man. That's what Esau did. And if you go to Cuba right now, too, there was recently a video on Cuba right now on how fucked up. The brother made a video recently on Cuba right now and how really fucked up they are right now. Over there in Cuba, bro, you can't really get shit over there. Like the brother mentioned, that their system, their dollar over there, it's fucking shit, man.
Yep.
If you go to Honduras, because I once knew this dude, young man who lived in Honduras and came over here as he came over here at the age of I think it was the age of 14. At the age of 14, he had to come on and go on this train, just come all the way over here. And the trip that he made was very deadly. I mean, something could have happened to him. But he, to the grace of Yahweh, he made it over here at the age of fucking 14, man. That's not normal. That shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't have to, because your country's so fucked up. 14-year-olds gotta hop on trains on a dangerous ass journey just to make it hope to make it to America here.
Yeah.
And then if they get caught, they're told to bring their asses back. That's oppression. That's Esau. That's today's still oppression. And you still got accounts of Negroes over here in America that are getting falsely charged, and then the cops are just beating on the ass. And then why? Because Jake ain't trying to get on some bullshit for something he ain't do.
Yep. I saw a video the other day on Facebook. These cops, it was like 4 of them. They had Jake on the ground, right? I don't know what the backstory was, but they had Jake on the ground, and this cop, they had him cuffed and his hands were behind his back. He was just laying there, and then this Esau, this big ass Edomite came in, put his hands on his head and just started kneeing the shit out of his head. And hey, on one hand, fuck you, Esau, you're gonna pay for that. We're gonna make sure that you get fucked up, all right? We're gonna make sure of that. But then on the other hand, I know that was judgment on that Jake, because he's probably a nigga, okay? So I can see both sides, right? I know that the Lord is bringing judgment on our people, because everything that happens to a nigga is from the Lord. But then again, you just fucking hate this fucking devil so much that you want to see him get his just due. So we want to see, that's why when the Lord gives us that power, man, I'll tell you what, man. If the Lord gives us that power, we gonna be putting hands on individuals, man. Okay, on both Jake and Esau. Okay, but we probably gonna start with Jake, because you niggas are you ain't right, man. You know.
Yeah, you two-thirds still gotta get judged, because that's in 1 Peter 4:13 on judgment shall begin in the house of the Lord,
man. You know.
4:17. And that's why this is Revelation 13:10, man. Like the brother said, man, we hate you fucking devils, man. We want to fucking fuck you up, man. Elbow your ass, man.
Off the top rope.
Destroy a whole bunch of elbows on Esau's fucking face, man.
Yep.
In the kingdom. because Esau don't give a fuck, man. I saw Edomite over there as I was speaking about how Johnny Rockefeller, how much he was oppressed. Edomite over there was smaller than half. I can tell when it's a racist Edomite, when it's a real, just demonic Edomite. I can just see him and know what time it is, man. So these Edomites exist out here, man. They hate you, Jakes. There's still Edomites that go home and put on their Confederate flag and talk shit about you, Jakes, man.
Yep.
That's how it says. This is Revelation 13:10. Whoever is meant to be captured will surely be captured. That's the Edomites. You're meant to be captured. That's gonna be your Edomites' destiny. So-called white people. Whoever is meant to be killed with the sword will surely be killed with the sword. This calls for endurance and faith on the part of God's people. Comment.
I got something. 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 4, so that we ourselves glory in you in the churches of Yahweh Shai for your patience and faith in all your persecutions and tribulations, that ye endure, which is a manifest token of the righteous judgment of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, that ye may be counted worthy of the kingdom of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, for which ye also suffer, seeing it is a righteous thing that with Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So it's a righteous thing. When we start seeing Esau get fucked up out here, that's a righteous thing. Okay? When the Lord puts a spirit on a brother, okay, and when the Lord puts a spirit on the men of the Lord and he raises us up, Lord's will mean I get to participate. When he raises us up with that power and we start knocking heads, that's a righteous thing. Because that's exactly what Esau did to these people. So it's a righteous recompense, okay? Payback, in other words, revenge, vengeance, okay? And that's what the Lord's about to bring, and that's why these devils are scared, man. That's why you seen all these damn Edomite pastors. All of a sudden, they won't mention us, right? They won't mention the Hebrew Israelites. But you notice how they're starting to talk about the talking points that we're talking about, like that one devil, Rich Tidwell. All the brothers made a video about him. You heard about that video, Rich Tidwell? This damn Edomite. He made a video basically going into how the Israelites of the Bible were the Europeans. And man, brothers went in on his ass, man. I even made a video on his ass, okay? Tearing his ass up. But he never mentioned about the Hebrew Israelites or anything like that. We're the only ones that talk about that shit, man. We're the only ones that talk about, starting with our elders, Elder Pastor on down, the only ones that talk about who these people are. You Edomite pastors never once, not goddamn one time, did you mention about the tribe of Zebulon. I never heard about Zebulon in church, man. What are you talking about? Now this Edomite wants to piggyback and land back off of brothers, man, and talk about how the white man is the Israelite. Fuck out of here, man. And it don't even make sense when you go into the scriptures, man. It don't even make sense. You know? Those are basic 101 Hebrew Israelite 101 color scriptures, man. You know?
When you go into this, basically, going back to that oil, it says because of Mexico's subsoil growth and petroleum reserves were heavily depleted by foreign operators, Cardenas expropriated the properties, officially transferring the rights to the national oil company Pemex. The seizure affected an estimated $500 million worth of foreign properties. Now, when you look at that, that's really, you may think that, oh, now the money's gonna go back to the people. That's bullshit. All they did was pay that nigga probably a couple mil, and then they just sneaked the company. It was still Standard Oil. They just changed the name to, and made them think that, oh, that was that's Pemex. No, that's not Standard Oil. That's how it works. That's how it works. Just like now today, you may see a president. I don't know who the president of Mexico is right now. Is she even Mexican?
Yeah, she's her mother is Mexican, but her father was a small hat.
Yeah, so the president now at this point, the presidents used to be puppet. Though they were still Republicans, they were actually still Mexicans. But now it's you go further back earlier. Now they're just small hats now.
Her name is Claudia Scheinbaum. That's her right there. Claudia Scheinbaum.
Yeah, she looks like a small hat.
She's a small hat. She's an Israeli. She's a goddamn small hat, man. She's a damn Edomite.
They just put a tan on her and made it look like she was Mexican enough.
It's Becky right there.
They just had to make her look Mexican enough with its fake tan, artificial tan.
Yeah.
But she's a small hat, bro.
Yeah.
So it's not even like, because you have president like Maduro who was actually Israelite. But at this point, they're just taking them all off. They already then took them all off and put an actual small hats in there. And even then, even if it's an Israelite over there now in Ecuador, it's still an Israelite ruling over there. He's not ruling. He's just a puppet. He's still not going to be able to say what he says.
Yep.
There's still going to be all that financial money, resource money, still going to go to the small hats. They're just going to make a puppet king stand on the camera to make you think that that's always going to go well for you Israelites, but it's not.
Yeah.
That's how Esau always works it out.
That's what he does. He puts a so-called black face in front of you dumbass niggas, man. And then you just eat it up. He did the same thing with Al Sharpton. He did the same thing with Martin Lucifer Kuhn. He did the same thing with Malcolm X. He did the same thing with all these so-called leaders, right? They were all working for the small hats, man. They all get paid. They're all with the same agenda of the small hats to keep you Israelites blind. Okay?
Just like with even with Obama, they made Jake think that he was black, but he was actually an Egyptian.
he's not even a Jake, man. I got this. Jeremiah 3 and verse 6. The Lord Yahweh said also unto me in the days of Josiah the king, hast thou seen that which backsliding Israel hath done? She is gone up upon every high mountain and under every green tree, and there hath played the harlot. And you know what it was? It was the leaders, okay, that made the Jakes believe that was okay. How do you make Jake believe that that's okay? Is by not punishing, not following the law, not bringing down the law, statutes, commandments that the Heavenly Father commanded. That starts at the top. So when they saw the northern tribes doing what they were doing, then the southern tribes like, man, that looks like fun. We're gonna do that too. And then the southern tribes start going off, and then both the kings of both sides start turning a blind eye or participating themselves, and now you have a whole nation going off, getting ready to get going to captivity because you refuse to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You're backsliding. That's why we're not gonna come out here and tell you who you are. We gotta tell you that this goddamn devil is your enemy, man. We gotta tell you that because you don't even know. Your leaders are not telling you what you need to know. Okay? He says, and I said after she had done all these things, turn thou unto me, but she returned not. And her treacherous sister Judah saw it. It says, and I saw when all the curses were whereby backslidden Israel committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah, that you niggas, man, feared not, but went and played the harlot also. So what's gonna happen now is what's the punishment for adultery? You gotta get put to death. You gotta get put to death. That's why when the Lord sent Esau, who the scriptures say Esau is as what? He says he is as death. So the Lord sent death for an adulterous nation, both northern and southern, and now you Israelites, you refuse to return. And so guess what? The Lord's going to bring down that final judgment. It's going to be an ass whooping like the likes of which you have never seen, okay, in this last time.
Yeah, man, like the brother's saying, man, basically history repeats itself, man.
Yeah.
That's all that's going to do with it. Basically, history repeats itself, man.
He's trying to hit a word. He knows where the prophets are.
Basically, man, yeah, man, history repeats itself, bro. As Solomon said, who is Yahweh, history repeats itself, man. You think this devil's gonna change? Scriptures also tell you, man, don't feel bad for a serpent trying to charm a snake. I mean, a charmer trying to charm a serpent. This shit ain't gonna work. Hebrews 4 and 12. For the power of the word of Yahweh is alive and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It penetrates even to dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow. It judges thoughts and attitudes of the heart, basically. It cuts between your flesh and then your spirit. So now you gotta really thank for the spirit. But if you ain't given that spirit, you're gonna hear everything we say, even though we're trying our best to bring it the most simplest way and the most easiest way for you to get it. These old ass niggas still ain't gonna get it, man. They still ain't, simple ass niggas still ain't gonna understand this word, man. That's why it's ultimately a thing of faith. Hebrews 11 and 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtain a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Yahweh, so that things which are seen were not made of things that which do appear. 6. But without faith it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to the power must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Yeah, but you gotta diligently seek the Lord. You gotta make an effort to seek the Yahweh. You can't just believe and walk away and still expect to have as much faith as how you had it the second you were up here hearing. Because I also went out into it last, because we're bringing out all the evidence. We're trying to explain how Jake don't believe this Edomite is a devil. At the same time, we understand if you don't get it, we don't care. We're gonna move on. Because I brought out last week too how Trump made a law to kick out all you the black people that were in government offices, that had an office in government. So even here in America, if they're doing that here in America, how much more everywhere else? Esau don't give a fuck, man. This place ain't our rest. I mean, look at our woman, look at our man. And if you think this is all right, then you just, this is for you then. You're gonna be destroyed soon.
That's right. I got something. This is Job chapter 12 and verse 4. It says, I am as one mocked of his neighbor who calleth upon God, and he answereth him. The upright man is laughed to scorn. He that is ready to slip with his feet is as a lamp despised in the thought of him is at ease. The tabernacles of robbers prosper, and they that provoke God are secure. That's right, these Edomites, okay, they provoke God, right? What else do? They rob and they spoil, and they prosper. They flourish in their wickedness, man. It says, unto whose hand Yahweh, by Shem Yahushai, bringeth abundantly. But ask now the beasts, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee, or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee, who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord Yahweh hath wrought this, in whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and breath of all mankind. So I read that because we had a squirrel walk by, okay? And the thing is, a lot of elders have been saying, and the brothers have been saying, like, you have animals pop up at camp because animals can tell and have a sense of the spirit, man. Animals are spiritual creatures. They can tell who's really the men of the Lord, who's really spiritual, and who's on the right side of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, okay? But we understand that this devil, okay, he's against nature. That's why the animals hate him. When you go to Edomite house, you go to the Edomite's house, what does he got up on the wall? He got a bunch of deer heads and shit, okay? He's just out there killing, right? Destroying the Lord's creation, all right? That's why the animals hate his ass, okay? But the Lord is going to bring that judgment, okay? He's going to bring back this vengeance on Esau's kingdom. This place is going to be destroyed. Esau's already walking around knowing that his country is over, man. Okay? Don't feel bad for them when they start crashing out. You saw that video Elder Menachezabah did? Okay, of all these Edomites crashing out in their cars and shit. Okay, that shit makes me laugh, man. Alright? Because these devils deserve it. Go ahead. What is that?
Luke 9 and 21. Yahushua strictly warned them not to tell this to anyone. And he said, the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests and the teachers of the law, and he must be killed and on the third day be raised to life. So Yahweh there was telling his disciples, man, what he was gonna have to go through. He was gonna have to suffer many things. So just like us today, man, that brings me a lot. That brought me a lot of faith throughout the week too, because basically this world is shit. We're in a low state. But when you think about it, Yahweh himself was going through. Yahweh, the man himself, right now, on the right hand of Yahweh, he himself was down here to go through these things, man. So that should bring a lot of courage and faith to you brothers. If that doesn't, you have to be destroyed. Because basically, man, that should, bro. Because if you're going through it, you gotta think back of Yahweh and how he went through the same exact shit, even worse than your shit. And made it through, man. He still made it through. No sin. And he's telling us to. He's got the elects back, whoever they may be, to go ahead and make it through too. So fuck it, man. We gotta make it through. Fuck it, we gotta make it through.
Yeah, let me get this. Or unless you have more, right?
No. This one.
Okay, go ahead.
Luke 4:24, and he said, "Verily I say unto you, no prophet is accepted in his own country." Hey, we're not. This is our country right here. We're not accepted. We're not gonna be accepted. They're gonna say, they're gonna keep passing by and say, "Fuck this," or basically. That's all.
Yeah, right here, John chapter 15 and verse 18 says, "If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you." That's why they hate that's why they hate us. When they see the sign, they hate us. They see the garments, they hate us. Because guess what? They hate Yahweh Shai. This is what we represent. We look like Yahweh Shai right now. We're doing what he did. Right? Did he not go around Judea and he go around Galilee teaching the gospel, prophesying? Wasn't he wearing a garment? Okay? When they see us, they see Yahweh Shai, and they put him on the cross, man. Okay? So, let me read it again. It says, if the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world, which we are not, okay, the world would love his own. So remember, like you said, when you saw that guy last week, he had like 15 people around him going off, teaching false doctrine. But he had a whole crowd. Me and Ak out here giving you 100% truth, this pure living water, gold, manna from heaven. They ain't got nobody listening, man. Okay? But you know, Lord said, prophesy to the wind. We'll prophesy to the wind. That's fine. Okay? It says, if ye were of the world would love his own, because ye are not of the world. I have chosen you out of the world. Therefore the world hated you. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his master. Remember, Yahweh Shai had to go through his suffering. The servant is not greater than his master, so we got to go through ours too. It says, the servant is not greater than his master, for if they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. Because those Pharisees, what were they doing? They were trying to trip Yahweh Shai up in his words. They were listening to him, waiting for him to say something that they could say, oh, nope, that's against the law, we got to put him to death. That's what they were doing. But that's what this world is going to do to us now. That's why we make these videos. What does Elder Malcolm will say when he opens up all his videos? To the brothers that are risking their lives and their freedoms to do so. We're literally risking our lives and freedom, okay, to make these videos, because you know what Esau's going to do? He's going to come out, he's going to say, oh, look what he said in the video. He said all Edomites are going to be destroyed. We got to get them. He said in this video that America's going to be destroyed. He's the enemy of the state, all right? So Esau's going to, at some point, use these digital epistles against us. So we're risking our lives and freedoms just like Yahweh Shai did, all right? So that's why they hate us, man. But we're going to be willing to go through the same things. Yep, that's all. That was the point. No, that was it. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully this was edifying. All right. We're gonna close out by giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, B'Kah Kodash. The double honors to the apostles, to the elders of Great Millstone. All right. Sincere shalom to all the laborers who pushed this truth in the last days in Babylon the Great, man. All right. We're here at the end of the days, man. We're about to get out of here. Close out with shalom in a Bible bowl.
Gabar-yah-ahla.